Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to another speaker series video. We are from the Tabletop Mentorship Program. My name is Grace.
I'm Mike.
And we are so excited to be continuing our series. We've created this in partnership with Tabletop Network and New Voices in Gaming. So thank them so much for their support. Thank you to everybody who's watching. It's lovely to already see a crowd of people here. Feel free to say hi in the chat. And we also want to give a shout out to some of our lovely patrons, Angela Belsel and Curtis Fry. We couldn't do this without you and your wonderful support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we're so excited today. You know, we really wanted this, want the speaker series to be full of good practical advice from all aspects of games and tabletop, and social media is one that is just, it's so unavoidably important. And we have the best of the best with us right now. Danny of Danny Plays Games. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
It's going so good. Thank you so much for being here and giving this talk for our crowd.
Of course. Thanks for flattering me and indulging in me.
Your social media is some of my favorite. You're one of the sunniest internet personalities. You're always a joy to follow. And so I can only imagine this talk will also be delightful.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited and I'm super humbled that y'all reached out to me.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's get started. We're gonna go away, let Danny do his thing, and but keep some questions in the chat. We're gonna do a Q&A at the end after the presentation. So get those questions ready. Think of those, and we'll do that at the end of the presentation. And yeah.
All right. Take it away, Danny.
Sounds good. Thanks, y'all. All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Danny Plays Games. You can find me all over the internet at Danny Plays Games with a Z. And today I will be talking about how to be amazing at social media or on social media, above, around, however you want to see it. I put an asterisk by amazing because the amazing people at Tabletop Mentor gave me that adjective. So take it with a grain of salt. But I just kind of wanted to real quickly, who the heck am I? Why are y'all watching me on YouTube, or why are y'all watching me on this video later on? And that's a good question, right? So a little bit about me. I was born and raised a gamer, right? So my family is first generation. I'm first generation born here. My family immigrated over here from Vietnam around in the late 80s, and then I popped out in the 90s. And gaming itself was one of the big things that kind of, one, help us integrate into just American culture, but two, helped me connect with a lot of friends and things, especially video gaming. So growing up, I was a huge Nintendo nerd, and that turned into me becoming a board game enthusiast, and then I became a content creator, and then I became a tabletop RPG streamer, and then, yeah, it's been a wonderful whirlwind of things that kind of led me here. So again, first and foremost, I'm a board game and tabletop enthusiast. Above all, I just love gaming. And I love the fact that we can all connect with gaming in some way. And then it creates connections like this, where we can talk about what are best practices, how are we building this community, what's going on, not just at face value while we're playing these games, but who are the people creating these games? Who are these content creators? So that's kind of where my heart lies, is elevating these voices, elevating these communities that need to be heard and have these amazing ideas and values that we all hopefully hold throughout our board game industry and our community. Professionally in the industry, I've worked at a handful of conventions, over 3 years now, between Gen Con, Origins, PAX Unplugged, and I won't go and list through the names, but these are the amazing companies that have believed in me and what I do. And, you know, just, again, I still get a little flustered when people say that I'm doing cool things and they're like paying attention, but I'm like, yay, that's awesome. I was the former social media coordinator for Ravensburger. Y'all might have heard of them with their fancy villainous lines and a lot of their cool IPs there. And then currently I am the social media coordinator as well for Rose Gauntlet Entertainment, which is ran by Isaac Vega and Lindsay Rode, which is going to be a conglomerate between like board games and video games and RPGs and all that. So I'm super excited. Again, these are people that I met through conventions and through the industry that have now reached out to me when they started their own projects. So I'm super excited to be able to work with Rose Gauntlet. And then on the back end of things as well, I'm a sensitivity consultant for LGBTQIA plus, as well as Asian American culture too. So I've had companies reach out to me just as a sensitivity consultant. And if you don't know what that is, it's someone that might not be within the community. And they wanted to reach out to just make sure, have another pair of eyes, maybe have recommendations on, hey, do I need a specific writer? Is this okay? Like, please double check me, because we're all learning in this together. So that's kind of what a sensitivity consultant does. So here's kind of your first shout out. Like, wherever your expertise is, or wherever your heart lies, or if you do belong in a marginalized community, somewhere within this board game industry, this board game wonderful world we call board games and tabletop, there is a place for your expertise, whether you realize it or not right now. So that's why I wanted to throw that in there as well, because I never knew that identifying as a gay Asian male would make me somebody that didn't technically know what that meant. Like, what does that mean in my personal point of view? I didn't know that could be something of value for people. So just keep that in mind. Everybody, again, has their own personal point of views. There's a whole bunch of intersectionality within our community. So just keep that in the forefront. Like, this is who you are within our community. And then very quickly, as a content creator, I've kind of capitalized on short form content through my Twitter rants that maybe y'all have seen. I'm starting to try to figure out the algorithm on YouTube Shorts. I have done longer YouTube videos, but Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I've always been a huge fan of short form content. And we'll get into this a little bit more in the presentation. Just moving on, we are still Variable Player Power Podcast, which is a queer board game and pop culture podcast that I do with Ella Loves Board Games and Theo from Geeky Gamer Guy. We kind of blitzed the scene a little bit in the podcast. We went hard for a year, and then I was moving, Theo was moving, Ella lives in Australia, so there was a lot of things moving around, but I'm not giving up hope that I'm just calling this the longest hiatus ever. So check out Variable Player Power Podcast if you have any interest in pop culture or queer news, as well as board gaming, because we were all about building all those things up. And then I've also, one of the big things too, is I always like to tie in charity, because again, as we come together as a community, charity, when we can work together towards a bigger goal, that's where my heart lies. So I do a lot of charities. I've hosted a lot of streams, panels, and I'm also a tabletop RPG streamer through various different conglomerates like Off the Table and Cold Press. So that's just a little bit about me. So I know that was a lot of information. Let's stop talking about me. Actually, we're going to keep talking about me, because this presentation is kind of from my point of view, because as you can see, I've worked through just being an enthusiast, just playing board games, going into content creation, as well as working behind the scenes, like on the back end of things. So I do have a little bit of a unique point of view, that I can see things from all different angles, from the ground level, from a higher level view, and all that. So this is just a brief overview of what this presentation is. So first and foremost, I want to talk about what this isn't, and then I want to talk about what this presentation actually is. I'll talk a little bit about how to find your voice, building community, which is one of my biggest passions, safety within social media and community buildings, and then some action items that you can do right now to start building your community, or just making it more welcoming and start engaging your community as well. And there's going to be some action items as well as we go throughout this. So if you have your phone next to you, or if you have a pen and paper, feel free to open up those notes app and take notes where you can, do these action items, or give yourself a reminder to do some of these action items. So again, what this isn't. This presentation is not a social media marketing 101 presentation. Honestly, I'm not really going to tell you like when to post on your social media. I'm not going to tell you how to gain a whole bunch of followers. Like I stated here, with a simple Google search, you can see there's so many articles of like people there. I would say that's kind of clickbaity, but you can say, oh, you have to post between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Honestly, again, I'm not telling you here where to post, but I know for a fact social media awards consistency. So whatever fits into your schedule social media wise, that's when I tell you to post. Like if anybody is just like, do you have best practice on that? I'm just like, post when you want. You know, your audience will sooner or later understand, okay, well, maybe they can't because they're a parent or they have a job and stuff. So it doesn't, I mean, you can schedule these posts and stuff, but again, I'm not getting into the nitty gritty of what this marketing plan is. And I just wanted to remind y'all that. But however, again, this presentation isn't how to gain followers. As an aside, I am a health and wellness coordinator and a certified health coach on the side. And this is something that I do regularly with my clients. And I thought, hey, why not throw this in there as well? Here's a challenge for y'all right now. Set a SMART goal for yourself. And as you can see on the screen, SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and timely. You might have seen this before, but just as a reminder, this is a way to set goals for yourself that aren't just willy-nilly out there in the ether or just like an arbitrary goal. So a great example that I like to use is sometimes people will say, I want 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Well, there is nothing that you could possibly do other than wait maybe 2, 3, 4 years to get those 10,000 subscribers, right? So saying that you want just 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, that doesn't really do much for you as an action item, right? However, if you just say, I will create 4 videos by the end of the month and release them weekly the following month, that gives you something very specific. It's very measurable and actionable. That's something that you can do, right? You're not relying on others to subscribe to your YouTube. You're saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to create 4 videos and then I'm going to release them. And it's relevant to you. Because of this, it will give you consistency throughout social media. And also it's relevant to growing your subscribers on YouTube, for example. And then it's also timely, right? We give ourselves a timeline. That way, maybe after a month, we can see, was that 4 videos? Like, did I push myself too much? Did I have balance? Was it too much? Was it too little? So then after that month time, having something timely, you can reassess yourself, right? That way we can try to stray away from burnout. And that way we can stray away from like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best use of my time. Let me set some more SMART goals. So it kind of compounds on top of each other, but that was just a little snippet of behavior change that you can apply for yourself right now. Okay. So again, set yourself a SMART goal, go through this SMART acronym and kind of see where you're at, what are your goals right now. And I will say, again, this is not how to gain followers, but if you do have these goals, hopefully it will over time get you some more followers if that's one of your bigger overall goals. All right. So what this is, what this presentation is, it's what I've personally learned over the years. Again, I want to preface this. I'm just a huge tabletop nerd, a huge board game nerd that happened to speak loudly on social media. And again, for whatever reason, it sticks to people. And I try to put out good energy out there. But a lot of times people are like, oh, how do you have all that energy? Well, I also receive a lot of energy as well. So this is the stuff that I've learned over the years from all different angles, from professionals to other enthusiasts to other content creators. And this is kind of what I want to talk about. All right. So the big 4 things that I've learned over the years. Okay. I am not that, and that's okay. So that's the first kind of talking point I want to talk about. The only content that I consumed when I first got into the hobby was kind of what you kind of see these bigger platforms are right now, right? They stand in front of a board game wall. They talk about a specific board game. They show you the setup. They show you the gameplay. They show you the review. And then I got so much value out of that as a consumer and as, again, just a board game enthusiast, that when I thought I wanted to start creating content, that's what I needed to do to get my voice out there. And it took me a very long time to realize, like, even though I'm able to do that, I'm not that. And that's okay, right? That is okay. And it might be hit or miss on the different type of content you create or the different connections you make. But over time, you will kind of get into a groove, and try not to box yourself in just because something is popular out there, or there's a style, or there's a trend, or there's all these different elements that come into content creation. And just because you like consuming it doesn't mean you're going to like creating it, or just because you create it doesn't mean that you're going to consume that type of content. So just try to limit yourself on that. Or I guess the wording was like, limit yourself from trying to keep yourself limited. So don't keep yourself in a box of, this is the type of content that is popular right now, I need to create that content. If it doesn't speak to you as a creator, don't do it. You can still consume it, but you don't necessarily have to create it and mimic that form. The second thing is that it's not me only, it's we. And it's social media for a reason, right? Not a focus on you only media, right? So a lot of times you'll see a lot of different social media accounts. They'll talk just primarily about them or the projects that they're doing. And one of the biggest things that, again, if you look through my feed, it's filled with retweets, and it's filled with just amplifying other creators, because it's a social network, right? We're creating these networks, we're creating these communities. So there is nothing wrong with putting yourself out there, talking about the videos that you've done, talking about what you're doing, what you're excited about, giving yourself a signal boost. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if your social media feed is all you, it doesn't build anything other than just you literally have a Twitter to advertise for yourself. So realize that it is social media, and that sooner or later, whether or not you gain followers that way, you're going to want to build a community that you would surround yourself with other creators, other enthusiasts, and other professionals in the industry. That way you can learn and you can grow, you can get feedback, and most importantly, you can make friendships that will hopefully last, throughout however long you want to stay in this wonky, wacky, amazing place. You also get what you put in, meaning it's going to take time and effort regardless of your content, right? Meaning that sometimes people will put in all this effort into creating this video, but then they don't put in any effort to engage with other videos, or with other forms of content, or with other creators, meaning like they put in 8 hours of hard work, and then they create it, and then they just kind of sit back, right? And you can't just sit back. Again, you have to promote yourself, but you also, again, have to work on creating that ecosystem, that sphere of networking, to allow your content to thrive. So you get what you put in. And again, not saying that you have to have 8 hours, put in 40 hours creating content, creating this function, but you can't be passive that much on social media if you are trying to receive that energy and that networking that you're looking for. And last but not least, it kind of ties in with everything. It's that it's okay to pivot and post a lot. As you can see, my Twitter, at first when I started, I was like, you'll always hear like, oh, you want to post at least 3 times on Twitter, 1 time on Instagram, maybe a couple TikToks. So I put this little quote here, but this is how I describe social media to people that don't understand it. You post a pic of an Instagram pic of a tweet, of a video, of a TikTok, of a GIF, from a stream, of a et cetera, right? So what you're doing really is you're utilizing these social media platforms to not necessarily just boast about what you're doing, but you're hopefully getting the attention of different people that might be utilizing these different platforms, right? So if Instagram is something that is really important to you, it's okay to focus on Instagram, but you can also pivot a little bit and post on Twitter, or post on your Facebook page, or I don't know, your LinkedIn, whatever you have going on. It's okay to pivot and post a lot, because again, some people are like, oh, you don't want to annoy people with your posts. Well, first of all, if people are being annoyed by your post, that's a them thing, not a you thing. But 2, again, it's social media, so they can choose to follow you or not, right? So don't worry about posting a lot. Just do your thing. Again, don't burn yourself out. Find that even medium. Post what you want. Pivot. try different things, and something might stick, something might keep you excited for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then maybe you say, okay, maybe it's time for the next thing. So let's be creative and put my energy towards something else. So don't feel bad that you have to pivot or rebrand or do different types of content. It's okay. Hopefully over this time where you are creating content, people are going to stay regardless, right? People are here not for the content that you post, but they're here for you. They're here for your point of view. They're here to see what you have to say about maybe a board game or an RPG, or what's your point of view on a specific topic. You know, maybe they want to see what you ate this morning, whatever it is. My point is that people are here to enjoy what you're enjoying. And again, they're not here to wait for a specific video that you're going to push out. They're going to support you as a person. And then if you do put out some content that they enjoy, perfect. That's even better. Okay. So here's some action items. All right. Here's some challenges so that we can tackle some of these things. So again, if you have your notes app, if you have a little scribble pad, some post-it notes, here's some things that you can do. And here are some challenges that I put out there for you. Okay. So find 3 other content creators that don't do what you do, but you love their content. Get excited about it. Right. So if you are a YouTuber, go find some Instagram pages that just post beautiful photos or do weird things out there. Okay. So that's your challenge for that one. Find other content creators that don't do what you do and then see if you enjoy it. All right. Second challenge. Find 3 other content creators that have your same values or have kind of the same follower count. This is a good tip too, because as you're trying to grow your social media presence, a lot of times people follow these big name, big popular social media, content creator people that have 1 million subscribers, and they're hoping for that moment that maybe they'll get that retweet or that share or that like from this creator, and you're just waiting. However, if you find other content creators that share the same values and kind of have the same follower count, they're probably going through the same challenges you are as well. So that's a good tip, that maybe you have 1,000 followers on Twitter right now. Find some other accounts that are around that same follower count, because you probably are getting that same amount of engagement. Maybe they have more followers on YouTube and you have more followers on Instagram. And again, this is kind of where that community comes in, where hopefully as you engage and as you make friends, you can start maybe collaborating or doing something exciting where you can start cross promoting each other's work, or, you know, whatever it might be. But the challenge is simply find 3 other creators out there that creators, enthusiasts, whoever, that kind of share your same values, and then also they're the same excuse me, the same follower count. Okay. Let me grab a sip of water. Hydrate if you're at home. Take a sip of water. All right, 2 more challenges on this page and we can move on. So this is something, I'm not a calendar person. I like to fly by the seat of my pants, but this has helped me a little bit, where if you can pull out your calendar and just set 5 to 10 minutes to do social media, meaning you're not just posting about yourself, you're maybe scrolling through and you're engaging. Something as simple as this, you know, will be able to, again, start building those networks, showing people that you care about what they're doing as well. But then it also, again, we'll start expanding. How do people see games? How do people create content? So set aside 5 to 10 minutes. That's not very long. You can do it while on a lunch break, or, you know, drinking your early morning coffee, whatever it is. Just set 5 to 10 minutes to just do social media, look at the content, and actually kind of start processing it that way. All right. And then the last challenge I wanted to give you is just a brainstorming exercise, where if you are a content creator, or even if you're not, and you were going to do another form of content, brainstorm what you would do. Maybe you're really good at writing, and you might want to start making you might go into photography. Or if you're really good at photography, but maybe now you want to get into maybe some stop motion stuff, or you want to become a cook and you want to try to somehow tie in cooking into your content. So just brainstorm other types of ways that, if you had the time and you had the energy, what other content would you put that time and energy into? Okay. So 4 challenges. I'll leave this slide up for just a little bit more as you're scribbling things down. I'll take another swig of water. And we can move on to the next one, okay? So this is about finding your voice. And I fought really hard not to insert a picture of Ursula the Sea Witch because I'm a Disney nerd as well. And of course, I could not fight that urge. So here's a quick slide of Ursula stealing some voice. But we're not talking about stealing voices. We're talking about finding your voice. Excuse me. Okay. So these are 3 things that, again, you can apply this really across a lot of aspects of your life, but I'm specifically talking about content creator, at least within the board gaming realm. Doesn't necessarily have to be a content creator. You can be an enthusiast, whatever it is. But these are some questions that you can ask yourself right now, right? So the very first one, again, it can apply across a lot of different hobbies that you do, but what's your spark? So this answers the why question. Why did you get started? Why do you love to create? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you putting the time and energy in doing this? And sometimes it gets a little bit deeper than what you might think, right? So my first initial reaction is because I love gaming. And I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this is because you love gaming, right? But why do I love to create, right? Like, I can love gaming. I can love all the board games. I can have my collection. But why am I putting time and effort into social media? Well, it's because I do love the idea of networking. Oh, and I also love, being able to hype up other people's projects. Oh, and I do, so all of these things on surface level is because, yeah, we love gaming. That's why we're here. We're all nerds, right? But if you start thinking about it, this is your why. This is your intrinsic value. And once you know, okay, this is my why. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm going to post videos that maybe only get 2 views on YouTube. And I put in 10 hours of work or whatever. This is why I'm doing it, because regardless if it's 2 people that are watching the video or 20,000 people, it still funnels back to the why, right? So really think about your why. And if you don't know, that's fine. This is also an ever-evolving answer too, right? You'll always get different reasons why. But I want you to think about that. And again, another action item is just think about, what is your why? All right, what is your point of view? This answers the how and the what. So what are you creating? What do you feel like you can provide? And how are you doing this? Okay, so those are some pretty big questions. What are you creating? Are you just taking pictures of the board games? Yeah, that's cool. But what do you feel like you can provide, right? Because everybody can take pictures of board games. Do you feel like your content sets yourself apart? And what is that? What sets it apart? Do you have a cool, different take on things? Are you presenting in a different way? And then how are you doing this? Are you investing in equipment? Or is it just a casual thing where you like to take pictures when you're playing board games with your friends? So these, again, are questions that will get you thinking about when things get tough, or when you start questioning like, why am I even doing this? Or why am I getting frustrated? Well, it's because, we know the how and the what and the why now. And then moving on to the last one is, who is your community? Like, who are you doing this for? Is it just for yourself? Hey, that's fine too. Normally, we just call that journaling. You can open up like a live journal or something, and you can just journal for yourself. But if you are thinking about a community at large, like, who are you doing this for? Who is your target audience? And who is currently making content like this for the audience that you'd like, right? So these are questions that are more on the extrinsic side of things, meaning that they're not necessarily things that you can control, but these are maybe the people that you connect with. So think about that. Who are you doing this for? Because as much as I would like to say all board gamers, probably all board gamers, they won't connect with the type of content that I create, right? So really try to narrow it down. Who am I making this target? And it could be different groups. You could be doing different forms of contents for different groups. Maybe you're super passionate about kids games because you play with your kids. So maybe that target audience is, one, the parents, like, how do the parents stay entertained? But also, this is what my kids love to play. So just think about these 3 questions: your why, your how and what, and your who. And that will slowly, this is something that you can come back to maybe every 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whenever you remember, and you can re-answer these questions just to kind of center yourself and realize this is why I'm doing things. Maybe you answer your how or what. Maybe you've gained a following and now you need to start thinking about maybe I want to invest in maybe some new equipment or something like that. Or maybe you have to pivot on the who. Maybe the target audience that you were targeting, they're not grasping onto what you're putting out there, but another audience is. So it's a good way to just, again, look at things from a 360 sphere and kind of pivot. We talked about pivoting, how you can pivot, and so that you're not necessarily just wasting your time doing the exact same things over and over and getting the same results. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about building your community. Like, this is the epicenter. This is like when people talk about social media, I immediately think of community. All right, so that's a personal thing for me, but when people talk about like my Twitter followers or, TikTok or, whatever it is, like, I just think of like the community that I'm building, right? These are the people that support me. These are the people that are reading my stuff every day, that are watching my videos, that are sending me, again, good energy. So this is the epicenter of it all. And there is no way that I could passively just talk about me, and have this same type of support and network and energy. Okay, so this is what I consider the center of it all when we think about social media. All right, so this is a fancy top of the line flow chart that I created. Top secret stuff. Don't sell it to anybody. I know it's fancy. But as you can see, at the very top is you. Okay, and we'll start on the left side. This is your community. So think of this as your community. This is you at the very top, right? On the very left is a person that I like to call Albert Gorithms or algorithms, the algorithm, right? You probably have heard of that concept before. So you're creating content, you're putting it out there. How do we capitalize on the algorithm? We want to crash the algorithm. We want to whatever. As you can see, when you're going on just that path, relying on just talking about you or putting videos out there, putting pictures out there, you're hanging out with algorithms, Mr. Albert. And again, there's nothing other than that you can do to just put your stuff out there, and fingers crossed that Mr. Rhythms picks up your content, right? And then you might go viral for a second, and then you'll go back down, right? So it's very what's the word I'm looking for? My one brain cell is not working right now. It's very chaotic, right? Because you cannot control anything other than I'm going to put this out there and I'm hoping that the algorithm is going to find something and then blast it out on like maybe YouTube's front page or a For You page on TikTok, or it gets retweeted by a large account on Twitter, right? Okay, so that's the left side. Looking at the middle, this is something more that you can control and more kind of focused on you, right? This is your content. And right underneath that are the people that consume your content. So they're kind of like the base. They're holding up your content. They're consuming it. They're kind of waiting for you to put stuff out there, but they're also your supporters, right? And then you, on the right side, you have friends and collaborations, right? So this is the community's content. This is wherever you identify in the community, this is the other people that are excited about the same things. We talked about sharing values, maybe sharing the same follower account because you're going through the same challenges. These are the friends and the collaborations that hopefully you are creating while you're trying to grow your social media, right? So as you can see, they all are valid ways to grow this community. But at the very bottom, I said, this is our community, right? We are building it together. And it's a lot easier and safer when we have a community that we can build through community content and your content. And maybe while we're doing that, Mr. Albert Gore Rhythms will boost you somehow as well. But as you can see, the friends and the collaboration side, that provides so much value. And it's so much of what I think about when it comes to it, because you as a person only has X amount of time. But if you follow 50, 60, I don't know, 10 content creators, they're putting out 10 videos or 10 pictures or 10 pieces of content that you could boost as well. Again, if they share the same values as you, you're loving to consume this content, why not boost it, right? Just because someone has produced something that you did not produce does not mean you can't enjoy it and you can't share it with the people who consume your content. And again, over time, hopefully the goal is that we're sharing, there's this intersectionality, and we are sharing these communities and audiences because we do have that kind of baseline of, okay, these people see things the same way I do, or they might share the same values as I do. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, I know this is the fanciest flow chart that you've ever seen, but my point on this one is that you have to kind of have all three of these, but you can kind of see the power where it goes from hoping that the internet does something fancy to what you can do as a person, and then what a community can do together. Okay, so it all will help you grow in your social media presence. But again, hopefully the goal is to grow our community, share the amazing things that are going on, talk about different projects, talk about different issues that we need to tackle right now as a community. Okay, so we have this big community, everybody's jiving, everybody's doing good. But whenever you have a large amount of people, and you've garnered this following, and you've garnered these people that look up to you, and they listen to what you say, this is when safety, like, you have to consider safety. And the earlier that you can take this into account, the better, right? So we're talking about safety for anybody that follows you, or anything that you retweet, or anything that you watch. Like, this is important. Okay, so for you need to monitor your content, right? This is more or less for your own mental health, but there's nothing wrong with blocking people, deleting comments, whatever it is. If you don't have the mental capacity to deal with trolls, or you feel like somebody is doing some things to harass you or whatever, there's nothing wrong with blocking. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you whatever. It's not feeding the trolls. It's not giving them what they want. If you need to block somebody, right? And again, we're going to talk a little about this a little bit more, but it's once you block somebody, that's fine. But like, it's up to you if you would like to talk about who you blocked and why, right? Because if people are following you, and you're not forcing anybody to block anybody else, but you're saying, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm talking to my community. I'm being vulnerable right now. This is what I need you to know. Okay, this person made me feel unsafe, and I'm letting y'all know that. All right. So again, everybody is going to take that in different directions. Everybody's going to have a different level of comfort when it comes to sharing. But my main thing is, there is nothing wrong with people. Oh, there's nothing wrong with blocking people. And whether you share it or not, that's fine. But for your own mental capacity, block people that are not adding value into your social media experience, because there's too many amazing people out there for you to be worried about one person that is constantly coming at you sideways. Okay, so this is the middle one is for all. Be aware of what's going on, right? So be mindful of what's going on in the world, because it affects us all. And again, this kind of permeates whether you're a content creator, whether you're a board game enthusiast, whether you're working within the publisher or company. Be mindful of what's going on, right? So it's amazing that board gaming has brought us all together, but we are more than just board gamers. We're humans, and we have human emotions, and we need to understand that other people process emotions differently. Other people are affected by different events differently. So just be mindful of what's going on. If something in the world is going bonkers, maybe it's not the best time to promote your TikTok at that time, right? Maybe it's just time for you to sit back, see how your community is, see the people in your community that may be hurting or maybe need someone to talk to, and put your energies towards that. Okay, so just be mindful of what's going on in the world, because it does affect us all. All right, and the last one is for us, right? So once you're growing, this is all of us. You're going to be responsible. You're going to have some sense of responsibility for the audience and the community that you've created. And this kind of falls in line. I've been talking a lot about values, right? People that have the same values as you, probably good. But if somebody in your audience comes at another content creator sideways, like, you are partially responsible for that, especially if you're signal boosting and you're tweeting things out, you're sharing videos on Facebook or whatever. You do have a sense of responsibility when it comes to that. Again, social media, we're being social. This is this is that network. If that person came from your community or came from your audience, you're going to have to be aware about that. And you're going to have to either take a stand or talk to them, or, what I said earlier was, like, it's a lot easier to be aware about what's going on the ground level, and with the audience that you're building, to be able to curate a safe space from the get-go, rather than trying to, get all the followers you can. You don't care about where they come from. And then you have to go back and say, oh, well, let's not be hateful. Like, if that's not kind of one of the bases of what your community is, then maybe reassess what's going on. But my point is that once we get a voice in the community, we do have a responsibility. And not just for our own voice, but also about how other things or other people might affect, especially if you do have maybe influence, or you have, you might have, I don't know, garnered attention from a person that is just, off the wall. Like, you're going to have to be able to denounce that without feeling that it is compromising your values in any type of way. Okay. So safety considerations, when I talk about safety, be very mindful, because again, this isn't a presentation about cyberbullying or harassment, but you do not want that in your community, right? It's not always rainbows and butterflies and all that. However, you need to be able to know how to take a stand, and you need to know how to, again, take care of things that do not fit in your community. Okay. So again, something that's not very much talked about when we talk about social media, but it's something that I'm very, very passionate about, because I've seen what hatred can do to a community, and especially when it gets so big, it might be uncontrollable. So if you're able to, again, be loud about your values, be loud about who you care for, what's going on, I think starting at the base level of safety considerations when you're at a smaller account, when you do grow over time, it'll be a good thing, because you have been a loud voice since day one. Okay. So action items. These are things that you can do right now for your community. All right. These are things that you can do right now. All right. So the first thing that you can do to drive engagement and build community is to tweet a question or a poll to your followers, and then engage with the replies on that tweet as well. So again, it could be anything about maybe you. Maybe it could be, what content would you like to see from me? It could be, what are y'all watching? What's your favorite board game at the moment? Is there an RPG system? Anything that will, again, you are asking questions so that you do engage and you get to know your community over time, right? So ask a poll, or put up a poll, tweet a question, and these are simple ways that you can just get to know who's in your community, and you can use it as maybe research for what you want to do going forward as well. Okay. Second one, if you feel comfortable, of course, post a picture or a reel, if you're on Instagram or a TikTok, of yourself to introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to your followers and your new followers. So again, I know this wasn't a marketing 101 presentation. However, I do 100% know that these social media platforms, be it Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they do want they want to boost engagement, and you do that by having a picture of yourself, or again, it's kind of the organic, like, people are following you for you. So if you feel comfortable, post a picture of yourself with your favorite game, or maybe a picture with you and your pet, and just introduce yourself. What are you about? Talk about your values, talk about your favorite games, but maybe have somewhere in there, have a picture of yourself, or have a quick little reel or a TikTok of yourself, just introducing yourself and saying hi to your new followers. Okay. And then the last one, we did talk about this in slides previously, but go ahead and follow 10 content creators that don't create like you, don't think like you, or don't look like you. Okay. Again, one of the last points I want to make on this presentation is that you have to, talking about Mr. Albert Gore rhythms, you have to, I pat myself on the back for thinking about Albert Gore rhythms, but you have to curate your following so that Mr. Albert Gore rhythms, the algorithm, will start showing you content that you want to see, right? So just think about that. If you follow one specific group and that's all you follow, that's probably all you're going to be swiping and seeing, or that's all the content that the algorithm might want to push you. So what this action item does, it forces you to get out of that comfort zone. Look at your community, follow people that don't look like you, that don't create like you. And again, it might be inspiring. It might drive different content, which is important, to your feeds. And then again, it's all about creating that big, huge, inclusive, diverse network. Okay. So that's something easily right now. These 3 things you can do literally within 5 minutes, I would say, probably less than 5 minutes. But these are 3 things that you can do right now that will start driving engagement and building your community. And then hopefully start pushing Mr. Albert Gore rhythms, pushing the Albert. I hate that I laugh every time I say that. Pushing the algorithms to start showing you new content, new exciting things. And then again, you're curating what you see and who you see and how you see it. Okay, so 3 things. Again, feel free to write them down in your notes, screenshot this. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Take a quick stretch if you'd like. Feel free to stand up. I'm going to take another quick sip of water so I can hydrate. This is where you can find me. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Danny Plays Games with a Z. I'm definitely most active on Twitter, so let's be friends on there. You can also find me on the Twitch sphere, which everybody is going for that Twitch affiliate because of what's going on right now. But I stream just chatting, just hanging out, as well as host different RPG streams that I'm on as well. So feel free to follow me on Twitch. And then I also have a threadless store where you can see these meeples with booties. And there's a story behind that, but we'll get into it another day. However, the merchandise sold with board games and butts are helping 3 different charities out there. So feel free to check out my threadless store as well. And again, a huge shout out to Tabletop Mentor for having me. Thank you all. I hope everybody's stretched out and hydrated and learned some things.
I'm like stretching right now.
Stretch it out. Roll out that neck. Pop it out. Roll out those shoulders. Sit up taller.
That was an amazing presentation. There was so much valuable information in there and so many actionable items. I hope people are, if they haven't been posting their social media stuff as you've been presenting, I hope they have definitely taken notes and can put that into practice after this talk. It always feels good to like follow up on knowledge. It's nice to hear things, but it's also good to do things.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So speaking of doing things, we have all sorts of questions in the chat. If you haven't put yours in, go ahead and throw it in. And we are going to throw some questions on here and let Danny take a stab at sharing some thoughts.
Yeah.
So first up is from Tabletop Rebellion. They would like to know, when engaging with other creators, is it better to interact as yourself or your channel name?
Oh, that's an interesting question because, so I guess I would ask, like, do you have 2 separate accounts? Like, do you have your board gaming account and then maybe a personal account? But I would say hopefully when you're creating your channel or you're creating that whatever your identity is online, to make it inclusive, right? Because again, your channel is you. So there's other safety is a point there too. If you want to remain anonymous, that's fine as well. You know, if you don't feel like putting your name out there. So there's a lot of levels to that question. However, I don't see a problem either which way to engage as yourself, as Danny from Danny Plays Games, or if maybe on a more surface level, as you get that comfort in your community, that's when you can start introducing yourself as you. So that's kind of where I would have to see like where they at. How's your community being built right now? And then who, like, was there a specific situation that we needed to tackle that you might wanted to use your channel name versus your personal name?
Good thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, our next question comes from Max. What are some best practices when choosing how to engage with other creators on Twitter? Many times it doesn't feel like my voice is necessary to comment on the big Twitter threads.
So remember, engaging doesn't always have to be inserting your voice where you don't feel comfortable doing so. It can just be a like, it can just be a retweet, it can just be a quote tweet saying, please read this. So don't feel like you're overstepping your boundaries by signal boosting. If you have nothing else to add, just retweet, like even if it's one follower from your community that might be able to get this message, that's important as well. So don't feel like you have to insert your voice where you don't feel comfortable or you feel like you have nothing to add. That's not the only way to engage. So the retweet, the quote tweets, the likes, those are all very powerful tools on Twitter too.
It'll probably save somebody's notifications as well.
Exactly.
All right. Our next question comes from Brooke. Will adopting a cute pet and including them in my content boost engagement plus followers?
100%. 100%. Let me see if this is the only reason I have as many followers as I have is that. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Hold on. There he is. That loaf right there. Where is he? There he is. That is Bowser Butternubs, and he has been with me since day one with creating content. So yes, Brooke, it does help. Not required, but does help.
I'm pretty sure our viewer count just went up like 20 people. Like, oh, I heard there was a dog here. We actually had to add a channel on our Discord for everybody's pets in the Tabletop Mentorship Program because it's exciting to see everybody's cute animals.
Yeah, we love floofers.
Somebody in the chat said, let's revise that actionable point. Number 7, post more dogs.
Post more dogs. Post your pets.
So if people have more questions, feel free. Don't be shy. Go ahead and put them in the chat. This is your opportunity to get some knowledge. I wanted to ask, actually, you said at the beginning of your talk that you find short form content really appealing for you to create. What led you to being interested in that? And is it something you also enjoy watching, or is it just something that feels natural for you to make?
Yeah. So I guess what I do with tabletop and board games isn't what I do full time. I do engage a lot, but I do have another full-time job. And over time, I was trying to crank out like longer form content, like how to plays and things like that. And I realized that even though that I could do it, I was driving myself down. Like there wasn't time for me, right? It was like, there wasn't time for board games, which is a sin in and of itself, but it was just all about either work job number one or creating content. And that was the only thing. So what drove me to short form content, and really seeing these, people, not just TikTok itself growing, but even Instagram. Like I consider Instagram and Twitter as short form content platforms because you can get a lot of information by just seeing a picture or reading a post that has 280 characters. So when I realized the value of that and I kind of stepped away from like, I'm not that, and that's okay. Like I'm not the long form content creator type of person. I was just, it was a little bit weird where I was a little bit wary because I was like, well, what if people don't like it or whatever? But I personally know I could keep up with it. It does bring me joy. So why not try it out? So that's kind of why I fell into it. And then of course, TikTok blew up. And then now everybody is trying to be like TikTok with the Instagram reels and the YouTube shorts, and people just, again, posting social media across different platforms. And you see short form content everywhere now. So, and also I think publishers are starting to see the importance of short form content. Like, yes, it's good to have how to plays, and it's good to have, how to set up the game and those in-depth games. But a lot of times people don't have 30, 40 minutes to watch a video. So if they can get their product out there and kind of blitz it with short form content, I think that is starting to create its own value in our space.
Yeah, that's awesome. Variety is the spice of life, right? You know, it can't all look the same. And the more variety that's out there, the more chances are that people will interact with it. Everybody wants something that's new and different and exciting.
Exactly. And again, like I said, like you do have that audience that will watch those 40-minute, hour-long videos, but you'll also, there might be an audience that you're not hitting if you're not creating the short form content that don't have that time. So it's kind of a win-win. Like if you're able to have that variety across the content that you're pushing out there, then why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right. Our next question comes from Tabletop Rebellion. What are you thinking of if YouTube Shorts? We've had some success, but can't figure out the algorithm.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. YouTube Shorts it's pretty much people reposting TikToks onto YouTube, but that's the same thing when Reels came out for Instagram. So right now, I know in a lot of places, it's in the beta form. So you might not be able to even get it in like Canada or the UK or in Asia or so I think it might just be starting off right now. But if you think you're an early adopter and you think it might be good for you in the long run, I've seen people, if you are a long form content creator and you're making these longer videos, you can easily take out that 60 seconds and then hopefully without much editing, upload it as a YouTube short and say, hey, check out my longer form video as well. So you don't have to think about it as just short form content. It could just be a snippet of what you are already creating on YouTube too. So I don't see, unless of course there's that whole time thing, but if you do have that little extra time and energy, I think YouTube Shorts, especially with the platform it already has, like there's X amount of users on YouTube, I think it'll be just as successful as TikTok.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question comes from Radian. I created a new Twitter account specifically for building my game design brand that uses my less known preferred name. I'm non-binary. Can we talk more about anonymity versus building your brand?
Yeah, I think that's completely valid. So if you do have that brand, that game brand design, go ahead and use that. That's what you're comfortable with. And again, that's what people will engage with right now. And that's what you're comfortable with. I think that's the biggest thing is your safety first, right? Keep your safety top of the line. If you do not feel comfortable with putting yourself out there as non-binary and you're not comfortable with that yet, that's fine. And if you never do, that's fine as well. You're able to build a brand. I personally think you can build a brand without putting yourself out there fully, right? Like nobody needs to know my last name. Nobody even needs to know if Danny is my real name, right? so just the number one thing I would say is just consider your safety and keep yourself safe. And then again, as you maybe build the brand, you might start seeing that maybe other non-binary people or genderqueer people are falling in love with your content. And then maybe that's a good platform for you to step up and, talk about your experience, because whether or not you explicitly say, oh, I'm non-binary or I'm queer or whatever, your point of view is going to be your point of view, which is already amazing. So keep your safety number one first. And I don't think either way, if you keep if you stay anonymous or you just build your own brand, I don't think that's going to be a detriment to you at all.
Wise words. And it's nice too, because you can follow other accounts that are doing things that you like or find interesting and learn from them and that experience. So if you are looking for other non-binary creators out there or looking at brands who keep that anonymity in there, you can kind of see what other people are doing and feel out what feels good for you and what you kind of want your own stuff to look like.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have another question here. Snuck in. Yeah. Maxwell would like to know, if a creator wanted to reach out to another creator on social media to introduce themselves or collaborate, what's the best way to do that? And what's reasonable to ask or say if you don't know them?
Yeah. So I would say, me personally, I probably would not collaborate with somebody that I didn't know very well, just because I don't know, again, like what type of content you create, like what are your values and stuff like that. So I think if you do know of somebody over time, like you see somebody and you're like, oh, I really want to collaborate with them. Of course, follow them, engage with their tweets, because like people do see tweets, right? Like people are going to engage with you. And if they see that you're genuinely engaged in your content, and maybe they'll follow you back. And that's kind of a good first steps to do so. I mean, you can tweet at them. You can say, hey, may I DM you to collaborate? And that might be a good way as well. But again, I think the biggest thing is to try to create that connection before the collaboration, so that people know who you are and they know of your content before you just say like, yo, I know you got a big following, let's collaborate. Because sometimes that can seem, especially if they are a larger platform and they might be getting these requests a lot, and they don't know, and they're just like, you don't want that situation to happen. So just engage with them over time, see, follow them, engage with their stuff, and then shoot your shot whenever you feel comfortable.
That's awesome. Yeah, so much of this, I loved that your emphasis was on community, because it is about building genuine, real relationships, right? And, there's definitely some stuff in there about parasocial relationships and all of those elements as well. But yeah, you have to make those points of connection first. And if you're just trying to sell your stuff, people will know that. And you're just trying to hook onto somebody's bigger following, they're going to feel that as well. Mm-hmm. So I love that emphasis on the personal and the real. Yeah. I'm not seeing any more questions come in. So this is your last chance if you want to squeeze one more in there. But I just want to say, Danny, thank you so much for doing this. This has been amazing and so valuable. And it's just been a joy to have you on.
Of course. Thank you so much for seeing value in what I can provide.
Absolutely. So valuable, so interesting. I hope everybody is ready to take those action items to heart and get moving on it. So we have coming up, we have another speaker series live in 2 weeks where Sen-Fong Lim is going to join us for a sell sheet workshop. And
we love Sen. We love Sen.
Right? And we're really excited about this because, the word workshop is in there. We really tried to make our speaker series more actionable this time around. So it's going to be a chance for you to hone your elevator pitch and really figure out what you want to put into your sell sheet. So if you are in any part of game design, we hope you will join us for that in 2 weeks. We're going to put up a little banner at the end here so that you'll have the information for that. Thank you so much to, again, Tabletop Network and New Voices in Gaming for helping sponsor this series. And we are the Tabletop Mentorship Program. We hope to see you at future events and all of those wonderful things. People are putting tons of thank yous to Danny in the chat here. So thank you all so much for taking part, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks again, Danny.
Yeah, of course. See y'all on Twitter.